I am in a very, very echoey room right now. Yeah, all by myself. It's nice. This house is empty. This is actually a rental property we've been working on lately. So I thought I would make a video while I'm here all by myself with the super shitty acoustics. Because I'm waiting on some contractors to show up. So let's do a video. So today I wanted to do a video about why you should not get tattoos, because we're all under the impression that it's just love and acceptance and we're gonna self-express ourselves to death and don't care what anybody else says and it's my body, my choice. And I totally get that because I have a lot of tattoos. I have a lot of tattoos and I have more tattoos that I'm not showing. Yeah, I have 60 plus hours of tattoos on me, so it's a lot. A lot. I've been through a lot, guys, and I did this to myself for the most part. So, you know, my choice, my body, all the good stuff. But for my younger audience out there, I thought I would let you guys know, you know, some things that you're probably going to run into at some point if you get enough tattoos that are very visible. I need to do my list because I start to ramble a lot and I forget shit, so that's fair. Okay, so the first thing that I will talk about is job hunting. If you are in my younger demographic and do not have a steady position that you have been with for a good amount of time, you are going to be job hunting, possibly changing jobs frequently, trying to figure out what you like and all these things. And I will tell you, as starting out into tattooing with very minimal tattoos, not a whole lot of arm or leg tattoos, it was actually easier to find a job with less job experience than it has been with years of job experience and more tattoos. And that doesn't really make sense. I mean, I've got tons of job experience that I'm really proud of. I really pride myself on the things that I've done. And it's ironic that it was easy for me to get job interviews and get offers before I got into management experience in warehousing and forklift and all that stuff than it has been with 5 years of that experience under my belt, but with a hand tattoo, which is fair because it's not fair. It's not fair, guys. It's one of those weird things where you're like, am I overqualified or am I just like off-putting? I don't know. But I have noticed that when I hide my tattoos, I tend to do much better in my interviews. I don't get stared at as much. It's more relaxing for everybody. They don't question me on background history or background checks or drug tests. They don't bring these things up as often because they're not allowed to discriminate, but they are allowed to ask those questions. So it's very interesting because I just got a job that I'm starting here in the next week and I hid all of my tattoos. It was the one job interview where I was not upfront about my appearance, where I wore long sleeves that covered everything but my fingers and they didn't notice them. I completely covered head to toe as much as I could and I got a job. It's weird. It's weird how that works because they were very impressed on my history and my relevancy to the position I was applying for, just like all the other positions I applied for. And it was the one offer that I got. And I'm like, oh shit, okay. So I'm probably going to be covering up my tattoos with this new job. Just forewarning, if you start getting into the realm of finger, hands, arms, stuff like that, you are probably going to want to cover them up. As shitty as it seems that they would judge you right off the bat for that. It's even harder if you have a background that flags are going to come up for that position because then they have a viable excuse not to hire you rather than just saying, I don't like the way you represent yourself. So there's that. Job hunting, very, very tricky. All right, discrimination in public. That's a fun one because this is the one that usually comes up the most with me, even though I don't really have anything that's like wildly inappropriate or I don't have anything gang related. I don't have anything that suggests that I have some sort of criminal background, which even if I did, who the fuck cares? Because it's nobody's business, especially in public. But what I ran into is the first time I ever went out in public with my original hand tattoo, which was a giant heart, which you probably still see. I was accused of stealing at a Kmart. Which, why the fuck would I steal at a Kmart? I don't know. I had previously worked at that Kmart before, and I went in and was still in my first few months of professional tattooing, and this little old lady proceeded to stare me down through the store, stare me down through checkout, and then stare me down as she followed me to my own car until I got in, and she didn't see me pull anything out that was stolen. So, good times. So yeah, they will think that you're a thief. They'll think that you're stealing shit. They'll think that you're there for anything other than just buying shit, which is weird, but it is what it is. Also, public judging and harassment is a very interesting one because you don't advertently have people come, well, no, they do come up to you and say, why did you do that to yourself? But the other thing I've noticed is that I overhear a lot of things that people will say about me. And it's very obvious when they're talking about me because in the town I come from, I'm a little bit more tattooed than the average person. So when I go in to, say, a restaurant or the mall or a public place that many people are around, I will tend to hear them talking shit about me. Like, ugh, she's never gonna get a job. Why would she do that to herself? What do you do? She looks like trash. It's like stuff like that. And that is something that I've heard over and over and over again, to the point where I'm just walking my small children around who are 4 and 5 and just say, they didn't hear it, not my problem, and just keep going. You have to kind of get some thick skin because I knew what I was signing up for, but it's odd how reoccurring this situation will happen, and I was a little surprised by it. Even though I knew it was going to happen, but it's okay. So back into the kids situation. I have 2 kids. They're both girls. They're both very small. This is their first year in school for both of them because of COVID. I didn't do preschool, so one's in kindergarten, one's in preschool. And I have always been very open with my children. Hey, if you want to get tattooed when you're 16, okay, let me help you find the right artist, let me make sure it's professional, let me help you even pay for it, things like that. But you do have terms and conditions with where you're gonna get it and things like that. And they say, I don't want tattoos, mommy, because you tell me how much it hurts. And I'm like, fair. So I haven't really had a problem with them saying, I want hand tattoos, I want face tattoos, I want all the tattoos that you have. I've never had the situation of them wanting to be heavily tattooed. Even though they are young, they do understand that it hurts a lot and they are not excited for that. So for the most part, my kids do not want tattoos. At some point, that opinion will change, and I will have to say, hey, I made a video why you shouldn't do the things that I did, and that's fair. So if my kids are watching this when they're 16, keep watching the video, please. So the very interesting thing that I have noticed with my kids going into school is that my children's teachers or the faculty members at school eyeball the shit out of me. And it's not anything that I wouldn't expect, because when they met me on like Meet the Teacher and things like that, I wear long sleeves most of the time. When I'm going into a professional setting or I'm introducing myself, I will sometimes just wear things like this and just say, this is who I am, just so you know. And sometimes I don't, because I want you to listen to me. I don't want you to look at me, because sometimes when people look at me, they get the wrong idea. So I think in Meet the Teacher night, I, for the most part, was completely covered head to toe, did not show off my tattoos. And one day I was getting my daughter into her car because she was being silly and waved at me and would not get in the car, so I had to park, get her into the vehicle, and was wearing very short shorts and a tank top. So most of my tattoos were visible. And I watched her teacher walk out to me and go, "Hi, how are you today?" And just the look of just like, oh shit, on her face came on. And it wasn't even, I don't know if it was like, oh fuck, or oh, I didn't realize. You're not really sure. So either way, I'm like, surprise. So yes, you will run into situations when you start to have children that parents will be comparing themselves to each other. Teachers will be comparing themselves to you. They will be taken aback, but depending on what you have, it is what it is. I'm gonna say that a lot. It is what it is. Once you make permanent decisions on yourself, it is what it is. You have to live with your consequences. And it's been fine. I love the way I look, and that's the most important part. Coming on to the next subject of having kids. Inappropriate tattoos. I do not feel that I have inappropriate tattoos. Other people might disagree with that. I have a tattoo of a vase on my leg, on my thigh, on the right side here. And to me, it's very tasteful because it has flowers and it has water and it has nice lining and it tapers out. And to me, it was a fun piece to do. Other people look at it and they're like, you have a naked lady on you. And yes, my vase is in the form of a bust. And I mean a naked bust. So it has very explicit features on it. And yeah, no, it gets some stares. Which, in my household, when my kids are like, "Mommy, you have boobies on your legs," I say, "Yes, I do. These are what boobies look like. And the female anatomy and blah, blah, blah." That whole discussion of like body comfort and recognition and anatomical like features and full words and things like that, I am very keen on saying those things and getting my kids desensitized to those sorts of things for when they get older and they can be more comfortable with talking about things and blah, blah, blah. Some people, when I wear shorts, they look straight to my legs because they're like, "Then some titties on your legs." And I'm like, yes, they are. And I'll have to come back to that tattoo because it does pop up in another point that I have. But another tattoo I have is a goat. And it's just a fucking goat, right? Goats are cute. Lots of people like to get goats. American traditional is very prevalent in goat tattoos, which this is not. But I like goats. The goat can also be represented as the devil, which this specific goat is Black Phillip from Witch. So this is in fact the devil. And that was my decision to get that because I just fucking love that movie, for one. And I like goats. I don't know. But people associate me with the devil, even though I'm agnostic, I think, or atheist or whatever. I don't know. I don't really fucking care about religion that much, but that's, you know, a lot of people do. Like, 95% of the population does. So, if you do anything that could be religiously affiliated with something satanic, then you are going to have problems with people looking up and down with you just like you're trash, or you're Satanist, or things. I don't fucking know. I'm not religious, so I don't know. But they don't like me. And that includes a large portion of my family is very disappointed that I have a goat on me, and they really don't realize it because it's so caught up in everything else that I have that they don't really notice it. But when they do, I notice that they noticed. And it's unpleasant, but your body, your choice, right? That's going to be the motto. Your body, your choice, right? But your choices, your consequences. So if you are going to have to deal with all the flack of people being around you and disapproving of it, that is up to you on how you want to handle that, but you will have to find a way to handle it. You can't cry a river when you know what you're signing up for, unfortunately. To me, it's funny for the most part because I'm just like, I have like 50 other things going on and this is the thing you're upset about, but it's all good. Another one is regret. You're gonna make some decisions that you're going to regret as an adult. And me, I have, for the most part, lived without regrets. You get tattoos, you get enough, people don't notice every single one, and it's okay. But what you might regret is not finishing your tattoos, which when you start getting more and more tattoos, you will want to get more and more tattoos, which may include you skipping out on your touch-ups, multiple sessions, something bad happening to them in general, and you just say, I don't want to get to that. I want to get to this. This is what I'm into right now. I want to get more of my skin covered. And you will just slowly, progressively just build up your repertoire of unfinished shit, which is what I have, because I have patchy sleeves, I have stuff that's not filled in, I've had the same lining for my half sleeve for like 3-4 years now, and I just don't feel like doing it. I don't feel like paying for it now. I don't feel like sitting for several hours to get something done. I still have empty space where I'm like, should I fill it? Because that would be cool if I'm gonna spend a shit ton of money on places I can't get to. I'd rather be more covered in tattoos. So you're gonna have unfinished work the more and more tattoos you get. Unless you're really on top of it, you really follow up with all your touch-up appointments and all those things, it's gonna happen. Another thing you might regret is the inappropriate tattoo aspect, which I was talking about my naked lady, bust, vase, whatever you want to call it. I slightly regret that one because I have spent a lot of time working with men prominently, and they will be like, ooh, titties, ooh, but they will just start bringing up my tattoo that is also not finished. They will start bringing up that tattoo the most because it is an attractive bust of a woman, which I appreciate, but apparently a lot of men do too. I think the most inappropriate comment I got with that tattoo was, is that a self-portrait? And that was from a boss. And people will talk to you like that because if you put anything sexual on yourself, people think they have the right to come at you that way, and they don't. But that is something else you will have to consider if you get inappropriate tattoos. That they will feel free to ask you very inappropriate things because you are publicly showing inappropriate things. Be prepared for that. You're gonna have some uncomfortable questions floating your way about, are those your boobs? No, sir. Did you get my check-in yet? Yeah, it's weird. Maybe another thing I could add to regrets is that the aspect of people coming onto you inappropriately. As a woman with tattoos, I have noticed that men like to ask those inappropriate questions involving inappropriate tattoos, but they also just generally like to be inappropriate. Like, one time I was going into Walmart and this dude was just sitting there on a bench and he was like, you like pain? And I'm like, what? You got a lot of tattoos, you must like pain. And I'm like, no, you look like it to me. And then proceeds to hit on me profusely, and I'm just like, here's my business card if you want any tattoos. And he's like, oh, that's why you're talking to me. And just shut that down real fucking quick because guys are gross. People are gross. I've never had a problem with women hitting on me being heavily tattooed, but men, they will literally come up to you, grab your arms, grab you wherever to look at your ink. I've had old men grab me to say, ooh, I like your tattoos. And they get straight up in your face because they want to get as close to the ink as possible. And, you know, it's a conversation starter for tattoos that they have, but really they're just trying to find an excuse to talk to you. And I don't want to fucking talk to you. I don't like people. If you don't like people, don't give them something to talk about. Okay, I think the last thing I'm going to touch base on today is professionalism, which goes into, say you do get a job despite your tattoos. Say you work harder than everybody else. I used to be a yes man at my job. I used to say, do you want me to do this? They say, do you want to do this? I say, yes, ma'am. and then off I go and do whatever they tell me to do, because I always felt the need to prove myself, being a woman in a male-dominated industry, being heavily tattooed and being looked down upon by peers and management and nasty looks and all those things. I've always felt that I've had to jump through hoops to prove that I am a good employee, and I had done really well in that. So professionally, it took a really long time for people in management to warm up to me, coworkers to warm up to me. People who don't know me, the more tattooed I get, the harder it is for people to get to know me, because I am very prevalently tattooed. So if they have a problem with it, then it's right off the bat, right? So your professionalism is definitely affected by it. If you start going into the neck, hands, you know, very visible areas, it does confine what you can wear to work. If you want to be strictly professional and not stand out to anybody, that can hurt your advancement. If you do enjoy where you work, if you start getting into like customer service, especially if you're working retail, restaurants, dealing with customers, especially if you want to start making big money and you have to deal with bigger clients that actually pay your company large quantities of money, you do not qualify for things like those because you were too different. They may get the wrong idea, and your management, your bosses will try to save themselves from looking poorly. Regardless how well you speak, how cleaned up you can present yourself, you still have the presence of, oh, we hire trash, which is what people who discriminate will perceive you as when you go in as professional as possible. So it does not matter how well you clean up and how professional you act, you look like trash to some people. And that's just how it is. Especially when you're talking about big money, because that tends to be older money, generational money that I've dealt with personally. I worked with general manager was retiring, so his son took over, and those two pretty much the same person, right? So when general manager number one would see me, he would literally scowl at me and just look me up and down. Worst experience I've ever had dealing with people who do not like tattoos, which is, you know, didn't expect that because I didn't have nearly as many tattoos as I have now. When his son took over, it wasn't a whole lot different, but I proceeded to get more tattoos anyways. I was a long-term employee. It wasn't a big deal. When the third one came in, who was around my age, maybe a year or two younger, he surprisingly is basically the same person. Not as bad because, you know, networking and socializing and hey, I'm long-term, you might have to deal with me for a while. He was a little bit more accepting, and he is not a general manager yet, so we wait for him to get on that power trip before we say, hey, he's the same exact person. But it's the same vibe, you know, it's the same generational vibe. So when you get into a larger business or industry and you deal with like big family businesses, that will be very, very prevalent because they have multi-generational people who are running the company. So you are going to have to deal with that. They are bred and raised on professionalism, and you do not fit in with that, and you will never fit in with that. I think that's it. I think that's all I've got for you guys. Just consider the things that I've told you on, you know, debating what you want to get on yourself. I don't tell people you should not be tattooed. I'm saying if it does not fit in with your life plans, then it might not be the best idea for you. I was born and raised as an artist. I lived and breathed it. I bled ink, basically. I would tattoo night and day for hours and hours. I was the art girl at school. I was like, this is gonna be me my entire life. And that very quickly changes when you become an adult. And You think you're gonna strive through every single thing that comes your way, and that's just not realistic as an adult. You're gonna get thrown shit that doesn't even logically make sense to you, and that's just what it is. So don't set yourself up for failure before you get there, because you don't know what you're going to run into as an adult. You don't know where you're gonna be in 5, 10 years, especially 20 and 30 years. You have no idea, because you yourself are changing as a person, and you're making permanent decisions on yourself that you do not get to change. You might end up hating what you have on you. Me, I don't, because for 99% of my decisions, I am a no regrets kind of person. So I just take what comes at me and say, yeah, that makes sense. People are still like that, and they're gonna be like that for a while. The good thing about tattooing, and why I do suggest people get tattoos, is because you do desensitize people around you. You know, say mom and dad don't want you to get tattooed. Get a tattoo anyways. You're slowly desensitizing it for them regardless how they react to it. You get a little bitch ass tattoo. They're gonna get over it at some point. Don't walk in with a full half sleeve lined out and say, look what I did today. Don't show up 19 years old with a big ass hand tattoo that ends up getting an infection and scaring the shit out of everybody. Don't do that. Just set, like, if you know this is gonna be difficult for you and the people around you, just take your time. Okay, so for some reason, my camera cut out, ending got shot, whatever. Tried to film it in my car and the camera was flopping all over the place, so I'm like, I'll just come home and just redo the ending. Basically, why I don't discourage people from getting tattoos in general is because I think that we need to desensitize the community into tattooing and just accept it, and just, it is what it is. Obviously there's a billion-dollar industry based around tattooing. It's gonna stick around. It's a lot more progressive than it used to be. People don't always, god damn it, people don't always associate us with, you know, drug trafficking and trash and being criminals and all those things that the stereotypical super tatted out person has. So we need to continue doing that for the community and just get tattooed responsibly, because it is a life-changing event. You are making a permanent decision on your body. You might like the way it looks now, but if you're a different person in 5, 10 years, then it's, you know, consider what's going to be tasteful and in your best interest. Also, I don't know, just do you at the same time. No one gives a shit. Your tattoos are gonna age out to the point where they're gonna be nonsensical anyways. So you might as well just be able to look back on your tattoos and remember those experiences fondly. You know, don't come into it thinking you're always going to love your artwork and all those things and it's always going to look good, because it's not. You're going to age out. You get a neck tattoo, it's going to turn into a big gobbly mess. You're going to get a big old turkey neck and it's not going to look good. But it's you, and it's okay. And you can do whatever you want to do. And if, oh God, if the things that I've listed don't bother you, like they don't bother me, then you're good. Fuck it. That's it. That's the end of my video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. Consider your options. Stay safe. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Oh, let's turn it off. Let's turn off the camera. Yeah.